and gentlemen, welcome to Marketing Monday, Wins and Fails, where we cover all of the wins and the fails in the last week in marketing and business. I don't want to waste your time. Today we're talking about the movie business, and I need you to close your eyes and go back in time to when Tobey Maguire first put on the Spider-Man suit, to when Anakin Skywalker and Padme fought the clones, to when Harry Potter entered his second year at Hogwarts. Go back in time, if you will, to 2002. The last year, ticket sales broke a record. Every year after 2002, it will start to trickle down, smaller and smaller and smaller, until a certain event in 2020 drops it off of a cliff. Now, it has bounced back a little bit post-COVID, but it's marginal. And it stands to reason that we may never get back to what the movie theater business was. Even a meme stock boom in the post-COVID era could not save AMC stock, which is now down 87% from before COVID. The movie theater business is in trouble. And what can possibly save it? Ladies and gentlemen, popcorn buckets. I'm not kidding. Movie theaters' secret weapon is elaborate popcorn-based merch. They have found out this is the one thing they can sell at a real markup to help save the revenue of this industry. This is the Fast and the Furious custom Dom Toretto car popcorn vehicle, by the way. It costs $60. This did not cost $60 to make, so the markup is actually huge for the high-end consumer of the movie theater. The Despicable Me baby popcorn carrier sold like gangbusters. This did super well, and movie theaters noticed, wait a minute, this is actually helping our bottom line more than anything we've done recently. The Barbie Corvette popcorn vessel plus doll sold for $65, and they moved a ton of these. Basically, as fewer and fewer movies are big enough to draw audiences to actually going to the theaters, they're trying to make more on those few movies. Ryan Reynolds, a movie star in his own right, said years from now, they will look back at 2024 as the year the war of the popcorn buckets began. And he said this as he introduced his own popcorn bucket for Deadpool and Wolverine. The biggest hit in the popcorn bucket space was the Dune popcorn bucket, which is currently selling for an average of $300 on eBay. And as a bonus, SNL implied that people might want to... I'm gonna lose my virginity to the Dune popcorn bucket. But anyway, Google search trends for popcorn bucket, after being flat since the dawn of time, have skyrocketed as they've become collectibles that people want to own. The days of a movie like, for example, Austin Powers Goldmember. This is a mid-budget comedy from 2002. These movies don't get made for theaters anymore. This movie, by the way, made more in ticket sales, adjusted for inflation, than Dune 2. Dune 2 is the second biggest movie this year. There's only a few big movies that can really survive in theaters. It's the post-Endgame effect. And so that's what they're building around. Do you guys remember the Lil Bow Wow movie, Like Mike? That movie made more money than the Marvels. However, if you're aware or you're doomer about this, or you're Scorsese and you love cinema, I respect your opinion. To me, this is not a big deal because at the end of the day, if you look at the numbers, there's never been more movies being made. We're just watching them all at home on streaming. We're losing the theater experience, but at least we get popcorn buckets when we go there. Whether they can survive is another question. There's a lot of debt on AMC's balance sheet. So they're trying to find a way to get you in the theater when there's not an Endgame or a Dune 2 or a big release. And what they're doing is live sports. Starting this summer, AMC and NBC are going to air the Olympics live in movie theaters. They're trying to find anything they can do other than just movies because that's not working. However, one thing that I am brought up to by the Marvels, when I think of the Marvels, I think of the fact that Disney is another part of the movie business that has been going through tough times, but they make the big movies that fill them. And recently they've had flop after flop after flop. They've had like a huge string of flops that has been impacting Bob Iger's return as CEO and Disney's stock price. And I just want to say, this was a huge surprise to me when researching this. I knew that they had just released Inside Out 2. What I did not know is that Inside Out 2 is the biggest success story in Pixar history. If you're not aware of this, Inside Out 2 is the #1 movie of the year by far, and for some reason has beat every other movie Pixar's ever made. I guess I want to say that Disney, a win to them for finally snapping their losing streak. However, they have larger problems. And if you look inside of Disney, what you're finding is they have a problem with the fact that kids don't really watch Disney anymore. When you think of Disney fans, you're more likely to think of a childless millennial. And number 4, Disney has a kid crisis. Children that used to grow up watching Mickey Mouse are now on YouTube. For example, me, as a child, I grew up watching Disney Channel and Disney Channel original movies like Brink, one of my favorite movies as a kid. Nowadays, kids growing up watch YouTube, like this, I assume, or the many other CoComelon videos that now break 1 billion views. And so the era of this Disney Channel, by the way, this early 2000s Disney Channel was a top 10 network in the world. Now, Disney Channel has fallen to 80th. Kids do not watch it. And if they're not watching TV, they're watching streaming, except on streaming, they're also getting trounced. YouTube is crushing Disney Plus among children. And so internally at Disney, they're freaking out because while revenue numbers are fine and they're still getting families, people that grew up with Disney, they are worried about a future fall off from kids that no longer have that youthful connection, that lifelong love of Disney that comes from growing up with it. For example, they emphasize in an internal document that 62% of Disney Plus viewers are adults with no kids, like me and fellow Bluey fans. If you go to a Disney park, you might find that on any given day, 40% to half of the attendees are child-free adults. Disney adults and millennials have taken up the mantle as the biggest Disney fans. Millennials without kids are the ones bringing disposable income to the park. And so Disney has responded by building more things for them. But it is setting themselves up for a problem in the future as YouTube starts to take their crown among kids. And the real problem they're gonna feel that with is with merch. Because kids love to buy merch, but now that YouTube is the top media platform, it is way ahead of the competition in getting them to actually buy stuff. Kids that watch CoComelon and Peppa Pig or Atrioc, they're buying the Enron hats, okay? Things are changing. Bob Iger needs a plan to deal with this. And I'm not sure what he has. Actually, yes, I am. It's to break glass and put out Toy Story sequels until the wheels fall off. Speaking of getting people to buy things, let's talk about the GOAT of that specific business practice. Bernard Arnault, the owner of basically every luxury brand in the world. This guy is the GOAT of getting people to buy things they probably don't need. Now, you guys might know the fashion luxury brand Dior. And if you watch any of their commercials, they will give you a sense of the luxury and the artisanship and the craftsmanship that goes into each one of their luxury handbags. Look at this. An artisan with fine materials. You simply can't beat it. Again, luxury goods command the high price tags because there's an expectation. They're made by skilled workers. However, the person actually making your Dior bag is this: sleeping here, working here, and being arrested here. They're actually a Chinese sweatshop hidden in Italy with migrant workers making $2 an hour. Recently, a police raid in Italy discovered that because they want to keep this made in Italy tag, they decided, well, if we can't make it in a sweatshop in China, what if we just bring the sweatshop in China to Italy? Which is exactly what they did. Now, you might be thinking, okay, maybe that is really amoral. I hate that. But thankfully, I'm a consumer who has no morals, so I don't care if the workers are underpaid. As long as the bag is high quality, that doesn't bother me. After all, these are investments. The problem is when the bag costs 2,650 euro, closer to 2,900 USD, you might expect the materials to make up a sizable portion of that cost. But during this police raid, they actually found out the purchase orders of what these bags actually cost to make. It's 53 euro. Which, I don't know if you're doing the math here, but that is a 5,000% markup on materials. All of the extra money they spend, because they do have like basically a 10x margin, they spend all of the difference on marketing. They spend nothing on the bag and all the rest of it on marketing to make the bag appear high end. Now, it's not just Dior. This is a hidden secret all over the high fashion community, but the two companies that were hit in the raid are Dior and Armani, Giorgio Armani. And I thought it was funny because Dior is like the headline in all of these articles articles, but it's much harder to find Giorgio Armani listed. I think they've paid a firm to help take down some of the articles or bury them. Because when I searched Armani caught subcontracting China and got this first result, literally in the time between when it was made and when I was researching for this video, it was taken down. And I checked today and it's still taken down. Which is very funny to me because their one weaselly public statement on it was this: the company has always had control and prevention measures in place to minimize abuses in the supply chain. So funny to say, to minimize. It feels like what you're minimizing is people finding out about it. But I want to give a win to brands that do find a way to change. Do you guys remember, this is a few years back, this picture of Mark Zuckerberg looking like a ghoul covered in way too much sunscreen that the entire internet memed on? This is back in 2020, at the beginning of the pandemic. Mark Zuckerberg was peak robot, peak lizard man. Everyone made fun of him. It is absolutely insane what having a better PR team and doing a little bit of exercise can do. This is how he looks now. He has a Taylor Swift level PR team. I bought a Meta Quest because of his rebrand. 100% serious. That's so funny. It's funny because a huge part of the reason people are roasting him is because of the money they blew on the Meta Quest and the Horizon Worlds. And in recent years, he just dropped all that. He pivoted like everyone else is saying AI is the future, glowed up physically, and the stock of Meta has been skyrocketing. It's up 48% in the past year. And everyone there is pretty happy about it, except there is one person who responded to this tweet who's not super happy with Mark Zuckerberg's glow up, and it's Elon Musk. Who couldn't leave well enough alone and had to wade in to the discourse. May he continue to have fun on his yachts. I prefer to work. That is the definition of seed. That is so salty, especially because even on the subject of work or money making, if that's all you care about is the grind. I mean, over the past year, Meta has been cleaning up over Tesla's down 15%, Meta's up 50. You're getting swept on all fronts. It's also more valuable. The company's more valuable. Now that we're on the subject of tech stocks and billionaires, I want to jump to one over thing. Here's a guy who's not as famous as Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk, but also deserves maybe not a win because he's probably a robotic ghoul for real, but a win for pure business success. A stock doing better than both of these is Amazon. Amazon has had an absolutely generational year, a complete bounce back. People are crediting it internally to, again, a lot more things than this, but after Jeff Bezos left, the new CEO, Andy Jassy, people thought he couldn't live up to the job. People are now saying internally he's probably better than Jeff. He's actually less of a freak. He is actually just worries about cutting costs and making money. And Andy Jassy is proving, from what I'm hearing internally and what I've read internally, is that he's like just a Tim Cook style great businessman who wants to make a lot of money. I do think part of it could be their recent Prime Day success with the idea of taking items, pretending to make them more expensive, and then marking them down to the exact same price. And calling it a Prime Day deal. I think that could be part of it. But another thing that worries them, again, they've been on this crazy run of success, but the one thing that worries them is there are two competitors out of China that are slowly but surely starting to chip away at Amazon's market share. I'm sure you can name them: TEMU and Shein. These companies are coming out of seemingly the blue. They only showed up on American shores a few years back. They're spending literal billions on marketing, Super Bowl commercials, constant ad blitzes, and they are gunning for Amazon's market share. And they are slowly starting to chip away. They're starting to make progress. And so Amazon's a little bit spooked. They're basically apps that tell you you can shop like a billionaire by buying the absolute cheapest shit possible. That's what billionaires do, right? Amazon's scared of this. They can't offer the same prices because Amazon still gets their stuff from China, a lot of it. But they buy it from China, then ship it on ocean freighters to an Amazon warehouse in America. And then from there, you buy it and they get it to you very fast. That is their plan. Now, what TEMU and Shein do, you buy it, it's in a warehouse in China, and then they fly it to you via air freight directly, okay? That's the difference. The reason they can do these super cheap prices is because something made in China, if you ship it on an ocean freighter, has a import tax. However, if it's under $800 and you ship it via air freight, it gets by the de minimis rule, which allows you to have no import tariffs if it's under $800 a parcel. That's the loophole that Shein and TEMU have been using. And so Amazon's plan is to do the exact same thing. Amazon is like, wait a minute, we're going to start our own warehouse in China. We are going to have things delivered there. We're going to do air freight packages. And so if you go to Amazon, you'll be able to choose options where you can get it delivered much later for 9 to 11 days, but for cheaper. And that is their plan to compete with TEMU and Shein. It's happening right now. Again, this is going to start by the end of the summer, except inventory by the fall. It's happening now. Now, personally, it's interesting because they have taken market share from Amazon, but they don't actually make any money yet. They offer goods so cheaply and they spend so much money on marketing, they don't make money. So I've seen some very smart voices say that, like, hey, Amazon, trying to do this is actually just going to hurt you badly. It's like, it's not even proven to be a good business yet. They're just only on growth. They're offering things for so little money and they have to fly them across. It doesn't, we'll see. We'll see if Amazon can do it and if they can make it work, but it might end up being a huge backfire. Larger zoom out subject. You know, speaking of Amazon, the global economy, China, I want to zoom out for a second. In a lot of recent Marketing Mondays, we've had a similar theme through the political subjects, the geopolitical subjects, the economic subjects, the business subjects, and that is there is a growing amount of unrest worldwide. And my theory has been that it's not about individual leaders and individual companies, but people generally becoming upset at increased costs, high price of housing, increased debts, etc. And I've said this for a while now, and the New York Times decided they're going to steal my shit. But that's not why I bring this up. I bring this up because in every country that is affected by these high housing costs, high prices, huge debts, people are responding by choosing the outsider party. In the UK, they're going from right to left. France, they're going more left. In America, it seems like they're heading right. They're heading away from their incumbent. What happens if you are in a country where there is only one party, where you cannot choose someone else? What do you do if you're in a country like
Wazzup Beijing.
Like China! With the return of our favorite segment, Wazzup Beijing! We have not done a Wazzup Beijing in a while, but we want to know what is going on in China. They're having these same problems. They have youth unemployment. They have high prices. They have debts. How are they responding when they don't have another party they can vote in? How does political unrest work in that type of country? A great article I read, can Xi Jinping keep a lid on China's mounting social strains? Let me catch you up on what's been going on in China. Maybe you've seen the video we made about their mounting housing crisis. That has continued. Multiple indicators of social stress are flashing red. Both official data out of China and unofficial data, which you have to take both with China because sometimes they fudge it, show labor market stress, housing foreclosures, labor protests, suicides, crime, and random violence are all on the uptick. Growth has been slowing. Their stock market remains down, and the real estate market is falling off of a cliff. I know we talked about this before, but it's continuing. Again, this is not a collapse in 30-day situation. It's just a bad time. It's like 2007 in America. I mean, it's just like they're having a true real estate meltdown. The housing prices continue to fall, and if you had your wealth in your house, or your unbuilt house, it is causing you great financial personal stress. And Xi Jinping is not responding in the way that other nations did in their similar crises, real estate crises, with like a lot of stimulus. He has other priorities, and they're mostly around economic security, making sure they have certain supply chains, they make certain chips in China, less about, you know, fixing immediately these long-running problems. And so the biggest loser right now in China from this impact is people that are young and don't already have any wealth or job or status. The young people in China are getting hit absolutely the hardest. They are feeling deprived about the high youth unemployment. 12 million new students are graduating this year, and they can't find jobs. Lots of young people have lost hope. I think many young Chinese people are getting disillusioned. They're not getting what they are promised by the country in their youth. This is falling attitudes towards people that see hard work and ability as the keys to success. In 2004 to 14, they were way high. They said it was, if you're not successful, it's because you don't have effort or ability or education. Now, only 30% say that, way lower. Now they're more likely to say it's because of an unfair economic system or unequal opportunity. It's not all bad, I do want to say. I want to be very clear that while China is facing, and in some cases amplified, many of the problems the rest of the world is facing, it's difficult for them to deal with it because they have no party they can vote in. Xi Jinping does have a plan, and their plan is to sort of grow their way out of it with more manufacturing, specifically high-end, high-quality development. These signs are all over. Basically what they're saying is, we're gonna move up the value chain. We're the world's manufacturer, but we're gonna make the high-end stuff. Specifically 3 areas China has been leading in. That's batteries, that's electric cars, and that's solar panels. In these three areas, there is no country on earth that can manufacture them at the scale, at the cost, at the size, at the tech. And they've been growing these like crazy to try and counterbalance the loss of real estate growth. And right now it is sort of working. Here's the problem. This is where we're reaching an inflection point, because China's monthly trade balance, which is the amount you import versus export, is the highest it's ever been. They have never exported this much more than they imported. 99 billion difference in 1 month than the amount they push out than what they take in. Other countries are starting to get frustrated. When you get that far away from the median, other countries start to get annoyed because it's like you're dumping on them and they get nothing back. And so the main example might be the US. Again, we have a contentious election going on right now, but the one thing both Biden and Trump agree on is Chinese trade tariffs. Apologies for the picture, but I really think it gets the point across. This is like the one thing they unanimously agreed on. Biden, huge tariffs on EVs, chips, and other goods from China. Trump proposes new China tariffs if he's elected. They both agree that this trade balance is unsustainable, and they're going to do a little bit of mercantilism, a little bit of, again, economists will disagree on whether or not tariffs is the right solution to this problem. People that don't disagree are politicians. Politicians will never support this. They will always fight against this level of trade imbalance. We're even seeing people pressure the US government to do a tariff on golf carts because so many are made in China that no American golf cart manufacturer can compete. There's constant pressure, and this is happening in the European Union, who just had EV tariffs on China. It's happening all over the world, where countries that are not trading equally with China are starting to put up tariffs to try and balance it out, so all of their manufacturing jobs don't go to China. Xi Jinping, I want to clarify, is starting to face some murmurs, but everything I've read said he is completely 100% solidified in power. No one can touch him. He will die in power. Okay, I want to be clear about that. I am not saying there's going to be some kind of popular uprising. What I am saying is that people are starting to get, especially at the young end of the economy, depressed. They're opting out. They're lying flat. They're feeling more and more let down by the current state of the Chinese economy. And that social unrest has very few outlets in a one-party state. So either Xi Jinping has to figure something out, or maybe someone else will start showing up. This is a real Chinese Donald Trump impersonator from a new Cantonese opera.
You're fire.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is the update on China, update on the world, and update on business and news in the past week. Thank you for watching this week's Marketing Monday. Tune in next week for more wins and fails.